announcement yesterday. Oh, good. We got this recording going. Thank you, Tracy. Yes. Okay. We have a few more folks coming. I'm going to try to put our agenda in the chat so we can all see it here. I know it went out to those of us who are on the agenda. So let me do that. And that way other folks can kind of follow along. Oh, there. Oh, I'm trying. Hang on. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome. Thanks for being here today. We have a lot of things to cover, including our budget vote for next year. We've been spending a lot of time getting situated on that. So let's just go ahead with our reports, starting with Allison Couch. And we'll just cruise through that, and then we'll do the budget stuff and some other things at the end. So thank you.
Perfect. Hopefully you can hear me. I'm in Columbus, so and there's a big meeting taking place over there. So if you need me to speak up, let me know. A couple quick updates. First one is around construction. What's interesting is we had a pretty mild winter, but we are actually 2 weeks behind on construction, which you would think like, it's kind of weird. But it's been a very wet winter, and wet ground is worse than frozen ground to work on at certain points. And so other than that, everything is, I'll say minus the 2 weeks, going well and as expected, no other big turns. We did have the water retention. I'm not going to get a whole lot on that. I've had a lot of lessons around construction and some pieces, but there is a memorial tree out there that we had to work with an arborist to ensure that what we were doing was not going to damage the tree, and honoring that and that class that donated it. So that's a quick update on the construction piece. Starting to look towards, I'll say, the arts enhancement, that renovation piece, and what are we wanting, and starting to nail that down. We've had quite a few renderings and pieces. Another thing, Dr. Gupta has been named. Super excited for that. And he will start to be in and around the districts. He's setting up meetings and tours with building principals to get around the buildings, different events. He'll be at the new parent or the new family to Oakwood breakfast at the OCC this Saturday. But he has a calendar to where he's going to start to be in and around events. So those are really my two updates, unless there's some questions.
That's great. Thank you. And thank you for joining us from Columbus.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. So I'll stay for about another 5 minutes, and then I've got to slide out.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? Are we okay? Okay. Great. Thank you. Okay. We have our high school principals report now from Paul Waller. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Emma. I think most of the dates you have there on the agenda. I know we have spring break coming up, so I always like to remind students and parents that the code of conduct for students in athletics and extracurricular activities is still in place, even if they're in Florida. So especially if they're going to be doing a spring sport or something, that's something good to remember, because for some reason people take pictures and put them on social media and that stuff, and then I don't want to see any of that. So just a good reminder to students and parents on that one, and hope everybody has a safe and fun time if they are going on a trip. We have state testing coming up on April 12th, the 13th, and then April 25th through the 29th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th. Those state testing days will be a 2-hour late start. So if a student's not testing, they'll stay home, sleep in. If they're testing, and they'll get all that information. They'll know if they're supposed to be there or not. And That way we can use the whole building for testing. And keep it in a nice, quiet environment for all those students that are doing that. On April 30th, we're doing we reserved a block of seats at the Dayton Dragons game, so we'll be putting a QR code out at some point where if people buy tickets to that game, some of that money will come back to Oakwood High School for a fundraiser. So just something to kind of look for. We'll be doing a senior parent Zoom meeting. This is something we started during the pandemic, but we've kept it going because it's just been a nice thing. So we'll do a senior parent Zoom meeting in May, and I believe that is May 4th. That'll be 7:30 at night for any parents that want to we go over everything that's happening at the end of the year for seniors and give anybody an opportunity to ask questions too. So it's just kind of another touch base with everybody to make sure we're all on the same page with those things. So let's see, I think that's May 3rd, kind of going into May a little bit. We have our cherry pie concert. May 6th, we have prom. And May 10th, we have a high school choir. And May 11th, we have our daytime awards. So as always, May is busy, but it should be exciting. Prom's at the Dayton Art Institute, and we're in the process of booking the arcade for next year's prom.
That's
That's it.
exciting. Great. Thank you. I know when I was putting this together, it's just been a crazy week, and I saw May and there were so many things, and I'm like, okay, I'm not even going to put that on the calendar.
Yeah, there's tons. Yeah.
I was like, I'm going to do March and April, and then the next PTO meeting I'll have May. But thank you for mentioning those things. Very aware of prom in our house because we're on the hunt for the perfect dress.
The dress.
So yes.
Yeah.
Junior year, yes, junior year and having the girl for the first time, it's a whole lot different, as you all, many of you know, right? The boys, they're just, very easy. So anyway, thank you. Awesome.
Can I pipe in? Can I pipe in with I totally forgot about the greenhouse. I just a shout out to Oakwood School Foundation. It's class of 1972, and then Paul is putting some money in. So you're going to start to see work, and we're going to rehab that greenhouse, which was really great, and excited about that. And then Tracy and I met with Amy Martin, Brandy, and Michael Zimmerman about just some community outreach kind of programs and communication programs at events, more about the Flourish campaign and how can we keep that going. And so you'll see some of those events. And that was a really good conversation. There's going to be a community event. Tracy, I don't know. Is that April 29th? Do you know?
Yeah. Yes. And
is it? Yeah.
I'll put that in the chat too, because I have the invitation for that, and they wanted me to promote that. So thank you for mentioning.
Yeah. And so we're just looking at little events like that. What can we do? I'll say at the play coming up this weekend, what can we do? On that April 29th, how can we just get the information and more out there? So you're going to see a lot. So if you can help promote that, that would be great.
Yeah, that's perfect. There's I put that in the chat, the community tours.
Perfect. Yep.
All are welcome. Yeah, that's great.
Perfect.
Thank you. And that's so.
All right, I'm going to slide out.
So Allison, the greenhouse will be happening.
Sure.
So the construction is good to go with. So that'll be starting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say, I was thinking probably beginning of school next year. Paul will be the one heading that up with Heidi and Frank. But I actually think it'll be probably before the summer's over, if materials and all of that. And, but yeah, that's been great with it's a blend of the class of 1972, a little bit of the OSEF grants, because she wrote a little bit of money for that. And then Paul putting some of his building budget for it. So it's exciting.
Awesome.
Yep.
Great.
Okay. I'm going to slide out.
Okay.
Have a great day. Thank you.
Thanks, Allison. Okay. Okay. We have Mr. Badenhoff up next with our junior high update.
Okay, thanks, Emma. Yeah, it's been neat to hear about the greenhouse. It's in the back of two of our science classrooms and kind of access through a prep room. And I think it's possible for parents to go 7 through 12 and never see it, but it's in one of the courtyard areas between the junior high hall and the science hallway. But it's neat just to hear about like some of the talents of our Oakwood grads, like, oh, this person's going to prefabricate custom the metal work to fit the glass, and this person, I don't know if any of your kids have talked about Rich Gowdy, but he's one of our substitute teachers and his background is in Hollywood set design. So he's kind of uniquely qualified to come up with some of the special projects and execute those. But it'll be neat to see that back in operation and see what it looked like when it was kind of in its heyday. A lot of the dates that I'd written down to supplement, Paul has already shared. I think for some of the parents who haven't had a student in the junior high or high school before, when he referenced the 2-hour late start for the state testing days, it's just like a 2-hour delay schedule. And instead of having a delay, we have the students who need to take the test during that time. And for 7th grade, that will be in English and math. For 8th grade, there's an additional test in science. And we had some concerns the first year we did this of whether students would show up even though they didn't have a test, but we found that they're very good at remembering when they don't have to be at school, like exceptionally good. So that's something that your students will get more information about, but 7th graders will have 2 days when they come 2 hours late. 8th graders will have 1 day where they come 2 hours late. And those dates, all junior high students will come in late on the 25th and the 26th, just the 7th graders will come in late. But again, they'll get a lot more information about that. Additional dates that didn't apply, and when Paul shared, our students at Harmon and Smith will be coming over, our 6th grade students who will be at the junior high next year will come over for tours on May 8th and May 9th. So we'll be hosting the 6th graders, rising 7th graders, then do a tour of the building, give some more information about what to expect. We really have a pretty gradual process. All of those students and their parents would have received videos a few weeks ago for scheduling, and we share some information then that's more pertinent to scheduling. Our goal in May, and again at orientation, will be really to help them feel comfortable with the building, knowing that they've in a lot of cases been in the same spot for most of their academic career. So just helping them be a little bit more comfortable and feel what the building is like, answer more questions that they have. But again, that's coming up May 8th and 9th. On May 10th, we'll have the success breakfast. So, I think the winter one went great, and we're looking forward to another one for second semester. And then our awards this year are they're after school awards. And I actually wanted to get a little bit of feedback from this group. That'll be on May 18th. But we had done a survey of parents in the summertime about the timing of after school activities and kind of what works best. And I think our goal is that everyone who wants to attend will be able to attend. We often can't achieve that to 100%. But from a timing standpoint, we were exploring like what is the best time to start those things for people who have younger family members or older family members, and trying to respect dinner time and bedtime and in between. In the past, we've always done 7 o'clock. Some of the feedback we got in the summer was 6 o'clock is just as good or maybe better. But I wanted to get feedback from this group just based on your experiences. This will be after the junior high sports seasons, but then some of the club activities or outside of school activities are starting to pick up. So is there a best time for an after school awards show that you think would work for the most families?
Opinions from the group? I think 7. I mean, I like 7. I feel like if people need some travel time from work, they might need something closer to 7, but I'm sure 6 would work fine too. Anyone have an opinion?
There's some push-pull there. One of the challenges we've had over time, staff members who live further away, the later in the evening you get, the harder it is to make it home and come back. So sometimes it's easier to stay, but the longer time you leave in the middle, then that's not always as useful. And we have some strategies to help increase how many teachers are able to stay, but obviously they have home lives and other things going on too. So we try to kind of balance those.
That makes sense. Split the difference and do 6:30.
Do that. That's kind of what I. Okay, that's an idea.
Option. I don't
know.
Then
we can get feedback, and if people complain on both sides evenly, then I know it's the right time.
Exactly. Yeah. So.
And then I wanted to add a little bit to Allison's construction update, just to some of the changes that you'll be seeing. I think we have concrete trucks on site today for the first time, pouring some of the footings up against the library, and then where the kind of adjacent to where it was demolished before. And then that will be ongoing over the next several weeks with stages of pouring footings and then a mason coming in behind to start putting to put block in. So you'll start to see some more visual changes to the site. One of the things they had to do because of the rain that we've had, they're going to pour kind of a temporary pad so that they can get their machinery in there, because it's been so wet that they can't even get the machinery in and get it back out. So that, I think, is one way that they'll help to expedite and maybe catch up from some of the delays they've had over time. But when you hear the beeping and see the concrete trucks out there, then you'll know, like, we're starting to see more of the construction pieces take over from kind of the final demolitions that have happened along the way. Those were the main things. Does anybody have any questions? No? Okay, well, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We have Mrs. Owens up next.
Hi, everybody. I am just here to share a few things. The ACT and pre-ACT last week, was that last week or the week before? Went really well. Having the freshmen and seniors on virtual learning that day allowed us to be able to proctor all of those tests for the ACT, the regular test takers, regular timed test takers, and the ones with accommodations. So that went really well. We are in the scholarship season. If you are a senior parent, you're seeing lots of emails about different scholarships. Just closed the Oakwood Schools Foundation ones, and then the local ones are available that include the Liston and the Melissa McGill Church and the OTA, among others. So that one's open now. And Dayton Montgomery County Scholarship was due yesterday. So any of those scholarship opportunities, we send those out. Scheduling is starting to really pick up. This time right now, we are, the course requests have been loaded in for next year, and we'll be looking at the requests for the different classes and tallying how many sections we need, and just wanting to make sure the parents and the kids understand at this point that they are course requests. We have some kiddos who, oh, I did my schedule and that's what it's going to be, and their requests at this point. We really try our hardest to give every kid every class they want, but sometimes that doesn't work out, and we will work with them, obviously, to find other options. And those, as we've done every year for the last, 5, 6, 7 years, those schedules will be handed out by the end of this year for the high school before the kids leave for their summer break. On April 10th, we are in the process of putting together our College Connection event that has been stalled due to the pandemic for the last 2 or 3 years. And we are going to go to Ohio State University. College Connection is when we take a teacher representative from each department, plus Dr. Waller, Dr. Lang, all 3 school counselors, and we go up and meet with our counterparts at the college, and the teachers can get a lot of really good information about what we're doing, how what we're doing to prepare our kids aligns with what their expectations are for the students to come in with, different skill sets and knowledge. So the teachers spend about an hour and a half with the professors. Dr. Lang, Dr. Waller, and the counselors we spend time with, sometimes we've gone with the admissions department to get a little information from them, or with the mental health centers, counseling centers, just to kind of see what options are available for our students. So we're really excited about bringing this back this year, and OSU is proving to be a great host. They are really open to everything that we're wanting to do. So we meet with them in the morning, and then at night we host all of our OHS alums who are currently going to OSU, and we go to an establishment and we buy them dinner, and they have a survey that Dr. Lang will give them to do that will ask them certain questions, making sure, again, that we are aligned with what the colleges are wanting our students to know and the skills that they're wanting them to come to college with. So it's a great time with those alums, and they just have a time to socialize with their different teachers. And then we do hit them up for some information. And so Dr. Lang puts all that together, and we bring that back, and the teachers will talk to their departments, and if there are any changes that need to be made. And there have been some changes in the past about different things that have been informed by those conversations. So that's coming up on April 10th, and that's still in the process of being planned. That's it.
That's exciting. I'm glad that you're able to do that now that COVID is,
Yeah.
over and you can get back to that. I know you all
Yeah.
really enjoy that. That's great.
We've been to OSU. I don't think we've been to OSU for about 10 years. And then we've done Miami University, University of Dayton, University of Kentucky, Ohio University. We were really trying to keep it to places where we could go in the morning and be back by that night. So yeah, we're excited too. Thank
That's
you.
great. That's awesome. Any questions for Mrs. Owens? Okay, great. Okay, so we will move on now. Theo has the floor. We'll just do a report, and we need to, in this meeting, vote on our budget for next year, the PTO budget. So the exec group has met a couple of times to talk through things, and Theo's been awesome getting everything in order for us. So Theo, you are up next.
All right, it wouldn't unmute. Okay, hi. All right, so I made a document, just so we would have one document. Normally, we would have our monthly budget report on one document and then the budget on a second document, but I thought we would just consolidate just for this month. So really quick, let's discuss where we are right now for this school year, the 22-23 school year. Oh, thank you, Tracy. So right here, I'm pointing to my screen. You can't see me do that. The second box says 22-23. So let's just, I normally I put the specifics on where we did for the last 2 months, but you can see, and I'll let the grants folks talk to the grants, but I'm hitting the expenses first. You can see that we've hit our $6,500 on our grants, which is pretty exciting. We had a little bit, we've spent $60 on a success breakfast, staff luncheons, staff fall luncheon, holiday luncheons, conference dinners, and curriculum night. I think I'm still outstanding on some invoices on curriculum night. Printing and designing, just going through, and then we still have not hit a lot of our miscellaneous expenses for this year. So where are we? Right now, we have approximately 19,000 and change in the bank. We have an estimated just under $5,000 of budgeted expenses for the remainder of our school year. And that should allot us to be about $14,500 in the bank at the end of June 30th or July 31st. I'm not sure when our fiscal year ends. So going into the revenue, we did very well with our membership and our directories. Our goal was 13,500, and we're just shy of that. We really did terrible on our DLM. I put the past years there just for fun, so everyone can see how well we have done before in the past. It's a very simple process. I don't want to get into those specifics right now, but you will be hearing more about signing up for the Dorothy Lane Market. Kroger, we will be receiving more additional funds from them. We're doing well with that. And then Amazon Smiles, that's pretty much that they're going to be discontinuing their program. So before I move on to the proposed budget, do you have any questions about the monthly budget? Okay, so you can always come back. All right, so taking a look at our revenue projections, we're just going to look at membership and directories. We're gonna hold serve at $13,500. We're really going to hope for some additional DLM funding. We really have been close. We've exceeded those dollars in the past. Smith School has just done exceptionally well, and we've got some pretty creative people on the PTO who have put out some great suggestions. And then Kroger cards. Emma will talk to it, but we're going to be doing additional PR, so I don't want to get into that. So we feel we've put $16,500. Now we do have that balance of 14,000. So if we fall short anywhere, we've got a little bit of wiggle room to tap into some of those reserves. Any questions on the revenue projections? We primarily kept our expenses the same. We did increase the staff fall luncheon amount just by $100, as well as the holiday luncheon. And we've kept pretty much everything the same. If you go down to the miscellaneous section, you can see, I should have tapped in on this earlier, the Flourish campaign, the bike racks, and the blue ribbon. Those were items that were above and beyond the budget because of the pandemic. We had those funds, so we were able to use them, which was pretty exciting. So are there any questions on the budget on the proposed budget? Okay, I would like to make a motion to pass this budget for the 2023-24 school year for the PTO budget.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, do we have another?
Oh, do we have to do a third? Oh,
Oh no,
second.
we're doing our garden club.
second. Maybe I was the first or was the second, whatever.
All right, okay. That's our budget.
So yeah, so I guess all in favor,
Yeah,
right? Say
All in
aye
favor.
or raise your hand or
raise your Zoom hand.
raise your Zoom hand. If anyone's opposed, raise your hand, let us know. Hand raised.
Thank you, Kelly.
She's good.
Creative.
Get to my video quick enough.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Great.
I think
Hey,
we're good.
also while I have the floor, really quick, I saw that announcement yesterday about Mr. Zimmerman. He was my choir teacher at Oakwood, and I cannot sing, but he made me feel like I could. And I was really sad to see the passing of him, but he was a really great teacher. So anyway, I just wanted to wish anybody who knew him, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Now I wish I knew him.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Theo. I think I feel great about the budget. Theo did an awesome job putting that in continuous, just invaluable member. So thank you so much for everything. So on that note, as we think about next year, I wanted to put something out there to the group and get your opinion. Because honestly, we've been going back and forth as a PTO exec group on this, and we can't decide what to do. And the question is, do we continue with Zoom meetings for our PTO meetings next year? Or do we go back to in-person meetings? Pros and cons, right? So Zoom is nice because we don't have to worry about, I think about things like parking and, getting to the school and all those things, and it saves a little bit of time, but we feel like it's a bit impersonal. It's harder, the conversations are a little bit harder, and we want to get back to having a little more collaboration and conversation. So what do you all, and then one idea was to do like every other. Oh, the other thing about Zoom is that it's nice if people are at work, right? And they can, like, different places, and maybe they don't work in Oakwood and they can't make it, so they can Zoom in. But I'd love to hear from anyone else who has an opinion one way or the other, because then we thought maybe we should do every other, like 3 in person, 2 Zooms. Is that confusing? What do you all think?
Hey,
Yeah.
Emma.
Oh.
Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
was just
Hi,
gonna
it's-
say,
oh,
from my
Jennifer.
perspective, it's Jennifer.
Yeah.
Zoom has just been much, much easier to manage in terms of the time. It is more impersonal. I spend my life on Zoom, as I'm sure many of you do, but it is nice to be able to know that I have, a client at 1 o'clock, but I can jump on Zoom and still participate. And I'm assuming for the administrators, it's a lot easier to participate, like Allison today from Columbus being able to participate, but that's just my opinion.
Yep. Great. Good opinion. Wonderful. Anyone else?
Hey, Emma, it's Linda Woods.
Hi, Linda.
Hi. Is it just possible to maybe have a few in-person meetings, and when you have them in person, just offer a Zoom link and just kind of have it always be available as a Zoom? Or is that harder to execute?
I can speak on that one a little bit because we've experimented and tried. I think the difficulty is with the audio part. So depending how close the person is to the microphone or to the computer that's doing the recording, the person who's tuning in might not be able to hear them at all. And that, I think the blended option is more difficult to pull off than either of the other two in practice. But while I'm speaking, I'll also share, I do miss getting to see everybody in person. So the 2 and 2 option seems kind of nice to me. It lets people have some flexibility, at least half the time we meet or thereabouts, but also gives people the opportunity to come in the building, because something I've heard time and again over the last few years is that parents feel like they can never come here. They're not welcome here. They don't get into the building to know the spaces. So I think if there's an opportunity to invite people in more, that's a nice thing to have happen during the day, as long as it works for parents. And I think, yeah, the parking piece we're well aware of, and for people who are working during the day, especially out of town or far from here, they can't really attend if we do in person. So that's kind of the push pull I know you're looking through.
Yeah, all really valid. One advantage of Zoom is that the barking dog wouldn't be an issue. That just happened to me because she saw a bird out the window. Other thoughts? And thank you for, and then she's, thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I have one thought. I actually like the Zoom, the convenience of the Zoom, but I know as a PTO member, we're always looking to fill our next executive and the next committee heads. And when you're in person, you are able to ask that person directly, and it's a little bit more personal. So I'm totally useless. I like the Zoom, but I think recruiting folks is easier in person. So that does not help.
Maybe one more suggestion is to have these like meetings, these 5, they're like 5 of them, right? 5 meetings on Zoom where we know that all the administrators can participate, but maybe doing a couple of connections. I know we do the new member breakfast, but we actually don't do any kind of PTO social at all, except for like a new member. So maybe we could do that, somewhere else where just the members, parents of the PTO could come and connect and talk. But we could keep these 5 meetings on Zoom so that we could ensure participation with all the administration, which is what's so valuable, right? And informative. But maybe think of an opportunity for socializing as opposed to just the new member breakfast. And I know that's easier said than done, and that people say they will come and they do not, but everything's worth a try, right?Maybe do cocktails, maybe do happy hour. If you do happy hour, maybe someone will come for a glass of wine at the top of Flyboys or something, just to connect.
Love it. That's a great idea. I like that. Oh, Laura, were you saying something? And I can't hear you. You can put it in the chat. Uh-oh. She likes it. She likes it. And she's going to be president next year. So there we go. So wonderful. Okay. If anyone else has any other thoughts, after the meeting, please let me know. Thank you. That was great. I appreciate that because like I said, we've been round and round about what to do. So one other thing, just planning for next year, what we'll be doing the exec committee in the next couple of weeks after spring break is reaching out to all of our current chairs, of course, thanking them for everything they're doing and to see if they're willing to stay on for another year. I already know of a couple folks that are rolling off because children are graduating and they've already given me the heads up. So I'm actively working to fill those roles. We already have 2 roles filled, which is awesome. So if anyone has an interest in being involved, please let us know. Everyone is welcome. There's a place for everyone. Please spread the word. And like I said, we will be reaching out to see what folks want to do. Dr. Waller, quick question for you that came up about Career Day. Is that something, remember we had talked about that? Is that something that's happening this year? Just wanted to clarify that.
Ed,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't, that's not happening this year. I think we're working towards trying to get that going for next year.
Okay, so keep it as a committee for next year.
To keep it as a committee for next year.
Okay, I will reach out to that chair and let her know. So, okay, thank you. I'm going to step in for Jamie Mahaskar, and Linda, you are welcome to jump in too to give any information about the Oakwood schools. So Brandy McFall and Amy Martin asked me to share an update because there's so much going on with the Oakwood Schools Foundation, and we've already mentioned a couple different things. So quick update there. First of all, OSF will be at OFAB's Young at Art event, which is happening March 18th. They'll be in the teachers' workroom. So please come and visit OSF and learn more about the Flourish campaign. We'd love to see you there. We already mentioned the community tours happening on April 29th. That's a great opportunity to get into the schools, and we'll have student tour guides and students stationed throughout the school to give updates on things that have happened that are OSF sponsored. And so that's a great way to see what's going on. It looks like there's going to be a summer fundraiser event on June 30th. So more information will come out about that. The Parker Love of Teaching and Lifelong Learning Award is accepting nominations until March 15th. So that's coming right up. Today's the 9th. So we have a couple more days for folks to nominate their teachers that they'd like to, and then one teacher will win the award. So please, if you have any teachers you'd like to recognize, you can get on the OSF website and fill out that nomination form. We had 26 students participate in the entrepreneurship competition, which is really exciting. That was started and still is sponsored by Judge Harlemart, who was my across the street neighbor. His wife still lives there. He passed last year. Wonderful, wonderful man. 26 students participated. We'll have a breakfast on March 21st, and they were all incredible essays. So the students will find out about their awards on that day, and all the students are being invited with their parents. Mrs. Owens mentioned the scholarships were the portal closed, so they're working on that. And then 2 more quick things. Jessup Wealth Management is offering this really cool financial strategies for successful retirement session. It's being offered at the high school, and the proceeds will benefit the school foundation. It's 4 weeks long on Tuesdays and Thursdays, beginning April 4th, and the cost is $69. So really, really cool opportunity for community members. And then the last thing is that we're always looking for volunteers for the OSF, for the Oakwood Schools Foundation. So don't hesitate to let us know if you're interested. Brandy McFall is the executive director of that. So you can reach out to her at any point, or Linda Woods. is our president. Ashley Hackett is our committee chair. And I know Amanda Robb is on, and she's our secretary, and she's probably furiously taking notes. And Amanda, I will send you this information so you don't have to worry, because I know I just spit out a lot of information.
Thank you. I'm typing away. Appreciate it.
Yes, yes, I figured you were. So I'll forward that to you. Linda, I don't know if you're still listening. Did I miss anything, or does anyone have any questions?
No, that was a great summary, Emma. I was going to add a plug for recruitment of new trustees. Just if you know anybody or you yourself are interested, we'd love to have that conversation with you. And we pay particular attention to the professional backgrounds that we need and the skill sets that we need. And right now those include finance and accounting, as well as human resources. So I guess that's a bit of additional information about what we're looking for.
Wonderful. Thank you. Great. Okay. Jennifer, are you available to talk? Yes. Awesome. You are up to talk about grants.
I do want to say just a note, Emma and Linda, for you guys for Young at Art Night. The teacher workroom's like super full of stuff right now because it's a classroom. So in our minds, you were going to set up a table. Like when you walk into the teacher workroom, there's kind of an entryway. There's like a, where you walk in. I would set your table up there so that when people can see you, and then set up a sign outside of the door. Just FYI, that's kind of my suggestion for that. Anyway, because speech and debate moved to the library because there's no space in that workroom for speech and debate. So that's kind of what we're doing. Okay, so for the grants, we have successfully spent our budget of $6,500. It makes a very big difference when we collaboratively plan with the school foundation and the Oakwoods Fine Arts boosters, as well as the PTOs. It makes a big difference. And then the teachers can get more. So we had our first ever math department grant, and we were so excited that the math department asked for something, which they rarely do, but they asked for $3,300 in additional whiteboard space to allow for increased writing in math and group work. And we were thrilled to be able to approve that. In addition, Amanda Amer asked for $559.98 for a Lego globe and world map to be built by students. Several history classes will use this new props, globe, I don't know what you call them. And then Amy Ostick had asked for $4,216 worth of playaways, which if you're familiar with playaways at the Wright Library, for their students. And we were able to fund the remainder of our budget, which was $2,640 for those playaways. But one of the great examples of collaboration is that the Oakwood Schools Foundation took the balance of that. So Amy Ostick's going to build a really great library of playaways that'll be used by English classes and our resource classes. As we all know, many students learn not only by reading, but by listening as well. So that's really exciting. So we have all of that budget spent, and I've been getting emails for some additional things that we'll have to look out for next year. So that's great. Any questions?
Yeah, questions. Thanks, Jennifer. Thank you for all the work. Jennifer does an awesome job. So what do we have you for 2 more years? I think, Jennifer, I hope.
2 more. Henry turned 16 today. So I'm like, we're on our way out. I've got, junior year and senior year. Then I am done.
Okay, but we can count on you for next year, right?
Yeah, you can count on me for next year.
Okay, yay. Thank you. Well, it just runs so flawlessly through you. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's awesome. So good. Okay. Well, that's great. So just quick updates on some other things. Curriculum night, I think a huge success. It was great. No snowstorm this year, so we were able to pull it off. Karen Leahy was our PTO chair. She did a great job with dinner for some of the teachers that stayed, and then the cookies and the waters. And it's just I feel like it's such a great night for parents and students to have great conversations with the teachers. So yeah, so that was great. So thank you to Karen for that, and for everyone for being there and making that happen. Our next teacher appreciation event is on Pi Day, and I think they were deciding between pizza and actual like dessert pies. I think they're going with pizza. That was the last I heard yesterday. So that'll be March 14th. So there'll be more info coming out about that. And then I'm really happy to report that we are going to start back up our social media page. We have someone who is experienced in running Instagram and Facebook that signed on to do that for us. And Laura is working with our chair on that. So we'll get that up and running. There's a very old PTO page that exists that I've been through 5 or 6 past presidents way back 10 years. No one knows who started that. We can't seem to get into it. So we're just going to have to start over unless somebody remembers. We cannot figure it out. I've been through many folks, and just no one has a memory of it. So it's just going to remain a mystery that we'll never know. But we'll get that going. And Tracy, thank you. Tracy said she would help us advertise that and spread the word.
Hey,
So that's
Emma,
great.
did you go back to like Bev Johnson by any chance, or
Yes, that
okay.
was asked.
Debbie DiLorenzo, Debbie Gorman DiLorenzo?
I don't know if somebody, okay, I'll put her. I'll
Julie
ask.
Teeters. I'm thinking of the old heads.
Right.
Julie Teeters, Stephanie Gian.
I asked Stephanie and she checked with Bev, and then, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on her name. Somebody else I can picture her. But yes, a couple of those, but that's helpful. I did not check with Debbie. And then Sharon checked with somebody else. I wasn't familiar with the name. So, but I know Julie and Debbie, so I'll ask.
Yeah,
So,
Julie Teeters has a really good memory.
okay, good. Yeah, we need someone with a good memory. So that's good. If someone 10 years from now comes and asks me a question, right? Like I have no memory. So I don't know if I'm not a reliable source 10 years from now. So that's great. Okay. And then store reward. So this is where Theo was going. There are just so many great advantages of having social media. We'll try to post the agendas of our PTO meetings so we get even more people participating and coming to those. We can push our store rewards on there and try to get people to sign up because it's super easy. I think Tracy, did you send out the message to all the teachers? Is that right? Yes. Thank you. We sent something out to committee chairs. So we're really trying to push those. So be on the lookout for our Facebook page and our Instagram page to be up, and join and like the page and spread the word. So, okay. So that is that. So we have some in the know questions. The first one was about progress book. Just some question, and as you all know, we get these questions from parents. They reach out and they think that, for good or for bad, like since we're on the PTO exec, that we know things that we don't always know. And so then we always say, well, it's great because we have a meeting coming up and we'll be with the leaders of the school. And so we can ask these questions. So progress book related questions. As you know, on progress book, you get the year-to-date grade. And hopefully that question was clear. You get the year-to-date grade, and of course that's helpful for the first semester, right, grade. But when you get to the second semester, it's hard to calculate your second semester grade. And wondering if there's a way, I don't know, Mr. Badenhop, are you the one who is the progress book expert? If there's a way to get that set up. And then I'll just go through all the questions there. And then someone said another school has a GPA calculator on their website. is there a way to set that up so that students, for example, if a student's going, oh my gosh, I might get a B in this class, what is this going to do to my GPA? They can plug that in and kind of see how that works, because with the add-ons and everything, it's hard for them to tell. And then report cards on Progress Book. I think there are old report cards on there, but the current ones aren't on there. So just some things that I think would be really helpful for parents moving forward to keep tabs on things, and students as well.
Yeah, I think I can try to answer most of those, and then
Oh,
Tim
great.
will jump in on anything. So we're checking to see, that was a good question. Can we post the report cards on Progress Book? So we're going to check, we have to check with this Meta, which is Meta Solutions, which kind of runs Progress Book, because we have to, with us, it's not quite as simple because we have CCP, Kettering, Centerville grades. So it's not just pulling from our Progress Book. We have to manually get those grades from those other entities, put those in. There might be a way to work once we have all that and we put it actually in, so the student has a report card, we mail those home, but we could hopefully also post that paper copy of that report card where parents, when you're in there, you'd be able to click on a thing and it would show you, here's their report card. So we're checking on that. We think that's probably doable. The other thing, on the report card, it has their quarter, it has their semester grades, it has their year to date. So you can see all that information on their actual report card. So that is there, but if you're trying to, if a student wants to know through like a GPA calculator, I think we would have to, the challenge on that would be, let's say if you knew what your GPA year to date was and you're trying to predict, oh, I had this other class, you would have to be able to enter all your grades for your entire high school in there to get what you're trying to do there. So that could be pretty challenging to do. So right now, we don't know how we would do that. And we think it might be pretty cumbersome for a student to try to do that, because they'd have to have every single one of their grades for that they've had up to that time and then start plugging some different things in. So, and if they had a CCP course, that might be, they might not have access to what their grade is at that time. If they have, I see what you're saying. If they're just trying to guess, okay, if I had this could be the grade. So that would be the challenge on that.
Yeah, and I can jump in a little bit. Paul's right. Mine's a lot easier at the junior high because all of everything going on the report card is in-house. Even the classes that students take that are for high school credit are listed under our school. So if you go on via parent access for your 7th or 8th grader, you can see their previous report card or the report card with year to date through parent access in Progress Book. But when it comes to the high school side, the things Paul mentioned, plus, if you take a phys ed, that counts differently because it's a quarter credit for a semester instead of a half a credit for a semester. And if you take a CCP, it can be a full credit for a half, for a semester. So working all those things in, I wouldn't say it'd be impossible to build a calculator, but you need a student with incredible attention to detail to be able to even use the calculator that we made. That would do that in a reliable way, because
Could you do one that has just unweighted, where you tell people not to worry about their bumps, like honors, AP? I mean, unweighted's valuable information, just thought.
that would be simpler to create, but I don't know that it would answer the question from the people who'd be asking it, because usually people want to know exactly where they stand if they're asking that question. They can probably already calculate their unweighted GPA, but to get it, I think you could build a thing, but it would be complicated to use it. Like I'm pretty confident we could build something in even Google Sheets that would do it, but the person would have to know like all the right boxes to check.
The other thing is our cumulative GPAs are calculated on the semester grades.
Mhm.
So, there's just, as Dr. Waller and Tim, Mr. Badenhop, Dr. Badenhop, as Dr. Waller and Mr. Badenhop said, there's so many things there are so many elements that are tied to all of this. And again, I was going to bring up what Mr. Badenhop did as far as like, the beginning ASL, that's a full credit, but it's a semester class. So it just gets really confusing for the kids to figure all of that out. It might be easier for the kids to figure it out, but it'd be definitely more difficult for the parents to figure all of that out too. So there are just some challenges.
Yeah, I think the question came from a parent who said, my student is really worried because he's going to have his first B's and he thinks it's going to really impact his GPA. And we're trying to come up with what his GPA will be. And I don't know how to calculate it. And she saw another school, I wish I could remember, I'll have to ask her, another school had it on there, had it on their website, and she wished that Oakwood had that. And if I'll connect with her, maybe I can send that to you, like just to, hey, if there's another example of a school doing it, maybe we can look at that. But just to let you know, that's where it came from. What about the second semester? So I think the year to date is when we get into the second semester, the kids look at the year to date, and that could throw them off, right? They might have actually a semester grade that's quite different than the year to date if they did really well the first 2 quarters, and then their third quarter is tracking a little bit lower. I don't know, is there a way on Progress Book to start over and just have the second semester, since that is what comes up on their transcript? Does that make sense, what I'm asking, or no?
I'm not sure. Kelly, do you know what she's asking?
I'm not sure, because they would get a first semester grade card that has like the first quarter, second quarter,
Mhm.
and because I've got one here I'm looking at. First quarter, second quarter, unweighted GPA, weighted cumulative GPA. Then they would have, like towards the end of the year, third quarter, they'd have first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. So they'd have that third quarter. And honestly, their cumulative GPA isn't going to change until the end of the year, because it's not going to change. The cumulative GPA is not going to change after first quarter or after third quarter. It's only going to change after second quarter and after fourth quarter, because those are the ends of the semester. As for the year-to-date grades in there, in the Progress Book, that's a little different. So they have their quarter grade, and then there's end of their year-to-date. And I find that to be really helpful, because you can kind of see how they're doing, now as compared to how they're doing year-to-date. And you can kind of, kind of estimate, what they need to do to pass the class. And they can always talk to their teacher about it too. There's always that piece of it, having the student having a conversation with their teacher, because the teachers are going to be able to know, eyeballing it to see. But maybe I'm not understanding exactly what you're asking.
I think maybe I do. So it's actually maybe made more confusing, because the semester grade is what counts. So when you get into, let's say, your third quarter, you're tracking a little bit below in the example she gave. Well, your year-to-date grade might still be a 95, but your actual semester to date grade would be lower than that. And that's the more relevant thing that'll show up on the transcript. So if anything, I wonder, does the year-to-date grade, it's helpful in the first semester until you get to that semester exam completion. But then in the second semester, it's almost unhelpful, because it includes information that won't show up on your transcript for that semester.
For full year classes, yeah. So, but that wouldn't be a factor for anything that has most of our math classes are first semester and second semester, but I can see where that would for a full year class, because they would be picking up the year to date from the very beginning.
Well, that's a good point in math, because of how it's structured in the system. It's really not affected by that.
There are so many classes that aren't affected, like physical science is not affected, because those are created as groups. So like all of the, except for the calc classes and the AP stats classes, all of the other math classes are semester and semester. And then physical sciences semester and semester. There's reasoning, we can get way deep in the weeds on that, but I don't think you really want to go there. But a lot of those are semester and semester, even though they're full year classes. But like your American history, modern world studies, those are full year classes. So I can see where that could be. But you'd also have that reference point, right, Tim? You'd have that reference point back to how they did that first semester, correct? You could also kind of
Would, I
use
mean,
that as a reference.
So the formula is constant. It's
Right.
for the high school, 2/5 per quarter and 1/5 for the semester exam become your semester grade.
Right.
It's a little bit different. It's 3/7, 3/7, 1/7 in the junior high, just to de-emphasize the exams a little bit. But yeah, as for what that number does, as showing the year-to-date grade, that's probably something that could be confusing for students and families for the
Yeah.
classes that are year-long classes.
Yes, and you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what I meant. And year to date is on the report card. So I guess that's how it would just be great to also have a semester to date. I want to call it semester year to date, but it's not, it's a semester.
Yeah.
So it'd be great to have like a semester to date. So that, because that's what's on the transcript as well. So if they could get like first semester to date, second semester to date, and then they could be tracking along how they're doing.
Yeah,
Or
we can check
almost
on
most
that.
of
I
the
think
classes, are full
we
year.
can, it could be that it's possible in the system and we just don't know that, but
Yeah,
that's. the
we'd
thing.
have to ask them if they could add that as an option, if it is an option.
That'd be awesome. Okay, well, great. I'm glad we brought it up. Quick question also about, someone asked me today about the honor roll and the high honor roll. What is the GPA? What are the GPA distinctions for those?
I will have to look mine up and be exactly sure. I think it's like a 3.7 versus a 3.0 at the junior high or somewhere in that neighborhood, but.
I always have to look mine up too.
Sure.
'Cause I don't
I
do
was
it.
I was looking I couldn't find it in here. I was looking because I thought maybe it'd be in the program.
It's
Yeah,
in the
is it-
student handbook, I think.
Oh, okay. Where
I
it
bet
is.
it's in the student handbook, but mine has walked off somewhere. I just had it.
And sorry, I didn't put it in because someone literally right before the meeting texted me and said, "What is it?" And I said, "Well, I'm going into a PTO meeting and I'll ask," because I actually don't know.
Yeah,
It
I
is
don't know
the
where my
handbook,
student handbook is.
and it's 3.75 and above for high honor roll for the junior high. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same at the high school or not, and it's 3.0 or above for the honor roll.
I found an old one, so let me see.
Probably hasn't changed. And there's no waiting for the honor roll. Is that right?
I think that would be right
Because it's just a quarter.
for the junior
Yeah, it's
high.
a quarter grade.
So honor roll at the end of each 9-week grading period. It's on page 37 of the student handbook, and the
Okay.
student handbook is also on the Oakwood Schools website. But at the end of each 9-week grading period, an honor roll is published. All students earning a 3.50 to 3.749 average are included on the regular honor roll.
Okay.
Students earning a 3.75 and above are on the high honor roll. And they must take a minimum of 3 courses. This information is displayed on the bulletin. AP add-on points are not used in the calculation of honor roll.
Got it.
There's your answer. And so
Thank
that would
you.
be the same for the CCP too. Whew. Student
Got it.
handbook.
Thank you. You found it. Good. Okay. Sorry to spring that on you.
Well,
Thank
but
you.
my one for this year is still missing. So I don't know if you could help me with that. That'd be great.
I can't. No. You should see my office. Okay, well, just to wrap things up, the last question, the process to determine which classes are added or eliminated each year. How does that work?
Yeah, so basically, all of our courses, I think it's every 5 years, we do a curriculum audit. And when we go through that curriculum audit, that's something that Dr. Lang runs, and she gets the department involved. They bring in some outside experts. Sometimes that's somebody from UD or an ESC, or could be other schools. And they kind of look at our curriculum, they look at our textbooks, they look at our course offerings, and then they usually have some recommendations. Many times, whether we continue or don't continue a course comes out of that audit. Sometimes on a given year, a course might not be offered. It may be offered, but then maybe not run if we don't have the numbers of students to do that. And then sometimes we just have so many course offerings that we couldn't teach them all. So we'll do like a rotation. you might offer 3 of these classes this year and then 3. Those are more usually like for electives, like for like family consumer science or those. We do have some elective science courses that we may do that with. But engineering, sometimes we do that with those. But for the most part, if we're actually going to add a course, that it can come through that process, and it can also be a process where somebody, a teacher would put a proposal in for a new course, and they have to turn that into the curriculum office. And that's usually 2 years in advance. So let's say if you wanted to have something for 24, 25, if you were looking to have something next year, you couldn't do that now. You would probably by October, usually they want to have that submitted for the next year. So like, if you wanted to submit something now, you could probably get that implemented in 2 years. We have kind of gone outside of that sometimes if we just feel like, hey, this is really important, this should be a class and we can fit it in. But most of the time it's a 2-year lag time on that. Because anytime we also add a new course, we have to then fund that, buy the textbooks, all that different kind of stuff that goes along with a new course, design it, design the curriculum, write the curriculum. So that's if you're going to add a course. If you're going to do away with the course, it's really most of the time that would come along with doing a curriculum audit where they may, sometimes we'll get recommendations from auditors to streamline our course offerings because they think we have too many options and some of the things may be redundant. And you can pare that down and still meet the students' needs. So that's usually where all that's generally the process for either adding or doing away. We're not usually real good with doing away with any courses. But even when we maybe don't offer them for a particular year, we will still a lot of times still leave that in the course description because we may say, well, we really did need that. And then we go ahead and add it the next year. Or in the scheduling process, we find out that, hey, actually we have some room for this course and we have interest. So then we go ahead and do that. But that is the process.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that sometimes those are kind of the internal factors that affect which courses we're offering. And sometimes we have external factors too. For example, like the state may pass a requirement that, okay, well, now you've got to have financial literacy for everybody who's going to graduate in this year and beyond. And we need to consider like, okay, well, what's the right way to do that? Another example is, last year we had one teacher who left for another district in the phys ed department, and the decision was, well, if we offer the phys ed waiver, then that position doesn't get replaced. So kind of flowing from there, that affects the capacity of 7 through 12, how many sections we can offer and what those classes look like. And also for students entering high school, some people who would have taken phys ed, well, now they're going to do the waiver instead. So they might need additional classes to fill their schedule long-term. That over the next several years, we might find, well, among people who take the phys ed waiver, there aren't enough options in this area. And we might need to beef that up. On the phys ed side, it became more about, okay, well, now not everyone is taking phys ed in high school. So how do we reshape those classes to make them more interest-based or more specific to students who want to take? They might want to sign up for a class if it's yoga, but they might not want to sign up for a class if it's something else. And that kind of affected in our practical arts department, additional course proposals in phys ed to kind of rethink how phys ed credits are obtained. On the junior high side, we eliminated a class a few years ago, which was computer applications. And the reason we did that is, we got to the point where the students who were entering 7th grade had been one-to-one for the last 3 years, had been taking typing classes for the last 3 years. And it's like, well, they no longer need that class because they already come in with the skills. So then it became, well, what do we offer instead of that? And that kind of prompted the creation of a new class. So sometimes we just have someone who's really passionate about a great idea and it's in their content area in their wheelhouse. And we just kind of say, yeah, make that happen. And other times, other things kind of prompt that, or the audit might prompt that. But there are really a lot of things that go into how those courses get created. And even sometimes it becomes, a class is really specific to the person who's teaching it. And maybe one person teaches it for 30 years, but we don't have someone on staff with the skill set. And we hope to be able to then replace that, but then it becomes, who else can teach that thing that's been created?
Helpful. Thank you. So lots of different factors go into it, but yeah, that's really helpful. Well, good. Okay. Well, we have run over our hour and I appreciate down to 6 of us, but thank you. And of course, this is recorded and we have the meeting notes. So other folks may be tuning into this later. So thank you all. Have a great day. We appreciate
Thank
your
you, Emma.
time.
Hey,
And
thank you.
we'll see you soon. Okay. Take
See you
care.
guys. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.